Switch 2, man. Switch 2's got some good stuff here. You know, I mean, this is some legit stuff they got going here, and I'm very stoked about it. You know, I mean, all of us fans been crying and whining to Nintendo to, you know, close the gap, to try and close the gap with Sony and PlayStation and Sony and Microsoft in terms of the console wars. You know, and sure, Nintendo, Nintendo wants to lay claim that they're not competing against them, but we know they're competing against them. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are they fooling? They're competing against them along with like Apple iPhone, Steam Deck. You know, they're competing against everybody. You know, they're in it to make money. But, you know, people, fans, myself included, you know, wanted the Switch to be a little bit more on the kick, you know, have a little bit more kick to the whole thing. And, you know, Nintendo listened. You know, they put, I don't know how much of the gap they closed, but what I do know is that the fact that they're playing, that they can be able to do Split Fiction, Street Fighter 6, and Borderlands 4, I think they closed the gap very substantially. You know, they closed the gap very substantially enough to be able to pull these things off. You know, to pull these things off, and that's good. You know, that's good because every time I look in comment sections, whether it's on YouTube or in the media like IGN or Polygon, everyone keeps saying the same thing. I wanna, you know, they all wanted the same thing. They want their Street Fighter 6. They want their Call of Duty right next to Mario or Zelda, whichever one of these NES, you know, these Nintendo games they're interested in. You know, they all say that, and we're finally getting it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's pretty freaking awesome. We're finally getting it. We're finally getting that little dream, that little dream we've been telling Nintendo for the past 20 years, since GameCube, honestly. You know, since GameCube. You know, they botched up with the N64, and we're like, yo, you need to go disc here. You know, you need to go disc here and get some of these games, and then they did. And with the GameCube, the Capcom hooked Nintendo with Resident Evil 4. You know, and a whole handful of games. Konami even hooked Nintendo GameCube up with Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 in a compilation called the Twin Snakes. You know, and there it was. You know, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid. I had Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, and I'm playing that alongside my Super Mario Sunshine and Mario Kart Double Dash. You know, say it was such a great feeling. Then Nintendo went with the Wii. They went with the Wii. The tech was was a whole generation behind. They relied on the gimmick. Okay, you know, I didn't jump at it right away. You know, I didn't jump on the Wii right away because I was very skeptical of not only the motion controls but the games that were being showcased for motion controls. Sure, it was the Wii Sports, but then all of a sudden, you know, here's Paper Mario and they're just doing this. And I'm like, okay, you're playing it like an NES controller. I have an NES. Where's the motion controls in all this? Yes, they did do the motion controls, but not all their games got motion controls. You know, I was expecting what I saw in Wii Sports Boxing to do the same with Punch-Out when they released Punch-Out. Nope. Played it like an NES game. I'm like, okay, fine. That's fine. Then they came out with the Wii U and threw in the patent, and then, you know, not only did Reggie Fils-Aimé struggle to say the word Wii U while during the E3 press conference, but Nintendo really had no idea what the heck they built and how to convey what they built to any of us, and everyone thought it was an add-on. So that was it. We were about to people was ready to throw Nintendo into the proverbial grave ditch and throw the dirt and and outline its tombstone. Here lies Nintendo, alongside here lies Sega, and here lies Neo Geo, and here lies Atari to join all the others. And instead, they come out with the Switch, and they got rid of all the Nintendoisms that Iwata leaned a little too hard into, even though it was fun. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, it was fun, but he leaned way too hard into the casual Nintendoisms. and just amplified the Nintendo's kitty stigma that Nintendo has been stuck with since they decided to not give the blood and kills in Mortal Kombat 1 on Super Nintendo. And Howard Lincoln declared in front of the congressional hearing that Nintendo was never going to do such things. Good job, Nintendo. Good job. Good job. But yeah, Nintendo Switch basically aged up Nintendo a bit. You know what I'm saying? It sucks. Don't get me wrong. It sucks. I mean, some of the Nintendo-isms that they had in there, you know, the little music, background music, like on the 3DS and the folders that the 3DS had, you know, was not there on the Switch. You know, Mii's were not the focal point. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of those little things are not there, and I say that was good. You know, because Nintendo needed to grow up just a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, like, we didn't need to sacrifice the Marios and the Yoshis, but you know, we needed the option, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we had if you had a kid, I would say, you know, like there needed to be a dip switch. There we go. There needed to be a dip switch where if you had a kid, you could put all the Nintendo-isms on. You know, turn on the Nintendo background music and give them the little stickers like the 3DS did with the Nintendo arcade badge. You know, that kind of stuff, and let the kids have fun with that. But for adults, we could turn all that off and just make it look plain Jane. You know, make it look like a plain Jane iPhone kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? You know, they could have allowed all that stuff to be customizable and fit how we feel. If we wanted to be mature about it, we could remove all the Nintendo-isms completely. You know, any instances of Wii, Yoshi, all that stuff. But if you're a kid, they'll slap all that little fun stuff on there. That's what Nintendo really needed to do. But they went to the extreme end and made it sterile. They made it sterile. But I understood, and because of that, you know, the insecurities of certain gamers out there who can't stand the Nintendo-isms and like to scream, Nintendo's kitty, you know, got a nice sterile Nintendo console where they could be able to put their Borderlands, their Call of Duty, their Resident Evils, and not have to worry about a little Mii pop up and go, ah. Out of nowhere. It's totally understandable. Nintendo did need to grow up a bit, but they just went a little too extreme. Went to the extreme end. They overcorrected. It can be done, but make it customizable. That's the key word, Nintendo. Customizable. So now we got Switch 2. And let me tell you something. They got some good stuff going on here. You know. Hopefully they fix the Joy-Con. I'll say that. Hopefully they'll fix the Joy-Con. You know, I don't believe. I'll be skeptic on one thing here. I do not believe they're gonna fix that frame rate on the game chat. I don't believe it. We're gonna be stuck with a 2 frame per second game chat for the whole thing. You know, a big screen, really cool. You know, it's a larger screen. What's great about the screen that I'll point out, most definitely, yes, it's an LCD, so it's a step back from OLED. But we all know Nintendo's gonna do an OLED model, and that's gonna be the $500 premium. You know they're gonna do that. That's why they have it at $450. They have it at $450 because they're going to do an OLED model Switch 2, and that's gonna be $499. So you know, hang in there if you want that OLED. For the rest, yeah, I mean, the LCD is this whole system is supporting HDR, VRR, 120 frames per second in compatible games. I'm glad they noted that too. That's incompatible games. So that's up to the developers, not on Nintendo. Nintendo provided the architecture to be able to pull off 120 frames, and that's pretty awesome because, you know, developers have been asking for this. They've been asking for this for quite some time. Well, not quite some time, years, on the contrary. They've been asking this for years, and they haven't been getting that. You know? Get that high-res thing. I'm very happy they fixed the stand and made it 180. go all the way back, like just bend. It's like bending the person's back perfectly. And I also enjoy. I'm also glad that they put two USB-C ports this time, one on the top and one on the bottom. So now I can be able to do the stand and put the thing up. Although it should still be compatible with my multi-stand here. Shoot, I can't get to it, can I? Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. I'm not sure if you remember. Oh, hold on. Okay, here we are. This little hoary accessory here. Let me just show you. Remember this little accessory here? It goes like this, just like that. You see? And it comes with the USB ports. It's got the, all the USB ports. You can put the charger right there for the AC adapter, and the other two on this side. So there's 4, and then you would put the switch just like that, and now you had a good stand here. The number of times that I put my that I would play, with these USB ports and hook it up with the arcade stick and play arcade games on the go with the arcade stick, and fighting games with the arcade stick. It was pretty cool. So yeah, this should be able to fit with the Switch 2. I don't know, saying my Switch 2. I don't know yet if I'm gonna get the Switch 2. It's not something that's a bit of a rush. But the fact that the Switch 2 has the USB-C and I could put it on that stand is great, because I have continuity. I don't have to buy another new stand from Hori. I might have to buy a new flip grip though. I may have to buy a new flip grip because it's a little bit larger now, so it's not gonna fit. For those of you who are not in the know, there's actually a whole bunch of games. There's a whole bunch of games, especially the arcade games, especially in the arcade archives, where you could play the game horizontally like this. And as you can see, it's very hard to do that. So, this guy, I forgot his name, but this little startup created this little thing called the flip grip, and you install the Switch console just like this. You would slip it in like this, bam, and now you can actually play horizontal games here. Here you go, and it would look like this. Here we go. You see? So it looks like insert Rule 34 here. And you could be able to play arcade games like Arcade Archives. There we go. Here we go. So now it looks like this. You see? And you get to play arcade games that were in portrait mode. There's a handful of games, even shoot 'em ups, like Esprit, Sai, and let's see, who else? Plenty of shoot 'em ups. I'm trying to remember the other one. Escaluda. Any of the cave games, cave shoot 'em ups. They play in vertical, so you can actually set it up like this, and you can be able to play on the flip grip vertically if you wanted to. If you wanted to do that, so it gives you. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the Switch the Switch 2 is too wide for the flip grip, so it's kind of disappointing that that's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Because I really enjoy the flip grip. You know what I'm saying, on the Switch. So a few more disappointments there, but it's not too bad. You know what I'm saying? It's not too bad. The important thing though is that the stand is stable and can be pulled back 180 degrees, and the USB port on top. Yeah, and that's why it's also disappointing too, because if you look on the sides here, right here where the cartridge is at, this is where the USB would be at, and unfortunately, as you can see, it's usually we can't do. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it. We won't be able to do it. Yeah, yep. Now, another thing that's cool. Hopefully they'll fix the Joy-Con grip, but I like this. I like the magnets. The magnets are pretty good. You know, the snap into place and everything. And it looks very simple. It's not complicated. You know what I mean? And they made the SL and SR buttons on that Joy-Con a lot larger. Thank you. I was getting a little tired of the cramped finger thing, but honestly, we're still gonna have the cramped finger thing. The mouse. I am so stoked about the mouse, primarily because games like Civilization 7. I'm hoping that they'll go to 6 and make it mouse compatible too. But they said they said they were going to make Civilization 7 mouse compatible, so no longer I have to keep on pressing the cursor anymore, you know, constantly to move where I want. Now I could just get a cursor from the mouse mode and just slide it over and click it, and it's done. Games like Metroid Prime 4 is going to be pretty awesome to do. Hopefully, I never did that. I didn't do the Nintendo experience. If I did, that would have been you would have there would have been a video for that already. But yes, this whole mouse thing is pretty fantastic, unexpected. Bring back Mario Paint. Mario Maker 3 is definitely going to win on this one. No doubt Mario Maker 3 is going to win on this one, especially since you could switch between the mouse mode and then into controller mode to play the stages, and then put it back to mouse mode and then continue your editing. That's seamless. So yeah, let's see, shooter games. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, same shooter game. Call of Duty games. Third-person shooters, first-person shooters are going to benefit from this. Yeah, and any other utility apps that they put in there will probably benefit from it, as well as other games. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. So in terms of storage space, thank you. I'm finally glad Nintendo finally caught on that people like big storage spaces installed. You know, you keep saying, "Oh, it's the cost, and everybody's like, "And we're paying the same amount of money from Sony and Microsoft to do this." So, what you talking about? You know, what you talking about? Just putting a big storage, internal storage, and they did. They put it all in there. 256 gigs, excellent. But now, honestly, what about the large AAA games? They clock in at like 50 gigs now. You know, it's insanely large. Shoot, Black Myth Wukong, I had to install 130 gigs. That 130 gigabytes, it's kind of getting ridiculous with the size of AAA games. So, yeah, depending on how you're gonna use it, you know, how you're gonna use it, what you're gonna use it for, that's to be determined. That's up to you, the gamer. So, yeah. Let's see here. Yes, the backwards compatibility. I love the backwards compatibility. We all love backwards compatibility. That's always been the caveat. That was what made Game Boy so big too. Because when they did the Game Boy Color, like, yeah, you can still play your old Game Boy games, and you can play these hybrid Game Boy cartridges too. These black carts that lets you play on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Color optimizes. You know, Nintendo did that with the Wii. You know, they made the GameCube backwards compatible, and surprisingly enough, it's crazy when you think about it, but they've kept that GameCube compatibility going. They kept that GameCube compatibility going, at least in terms of the controllers, controller-wise. Not the disc per se. The controllers, the backwards compatibility with GameCube controllers, that is freaking amazing. To this day, every single console since Wii, you know, has been able to use the GameCube controllers. Nintendo never abandoned those GameCube controllers. Makes one wonder, why didn't they just stay on it? You know what I mean? Why didn't they just stay on it? Why bother? Well, now we know why with the. Well, now we know regarding the Switch. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. But I'm saying, like, with the Wii, but with the Wii U, they, you had to buy the adapter, the GameCube controller adapter, in order to use the GameCube controller. But I'm equally excited about it because you can actually technically play Switch games with the GameCube controller. There's I'm gonna have to try that out. Do that live stream, because I have done it. I did it with Yoshi's Woolly World. Was it Woolly World? Well, I did it with Yoshi, one of the Yoshi games. I know for a fact that the Smash Bros can be done on that. Gonna have to see. I should live stream that. I mean, yeah, I should. And see. Well, we'll do that. The point I'm saying is that this is a big sell. This is a big time sell where we can play our NS1 games on NS2. And from what I'm seeing here, according to their chart, pretty much a vast majority of the games are compatible. The only thing that's not compatible is the VR kit, and that's only not because of the game itself. You know, the program, the software. It's because the Switch 2 cannot be inserted into the VR goggles because it's so big. It's so big. That's the only reason why. Or else you could boot this thing on and you can actually explore the whole thing, do your thing, but you won't be able to install it into the VR goggles because the VR goggles are too small and designed for the Switch, the NS1. And just to make note too, that on the NS1, when you put the game on, it's got two circles. Oh, you know what? Oh no, I don't have it. I don't have the thing in there, the cartridge. But basically, what it does is that it gives you like two oval-shaped circles, and you see the game is in there within the circles. And when you slip in the Switch, it lines up with the goggle, with the lenses, and that gives you the 3D. That gives you the virtual world. And because the screen is even bigger, it's not gonna line up with the lenses. That's why it's not compatible in the bit. You know, the slightest bit. It's not gonna be compatible to the whole thing. They got a list of Switch 2 games that are compatible and games that are playable but have some in-game compatibility issues. So there's probably gonna be like lots of firmware updates. There's gonna be a lot of updates going on if the companies are interested in it. Some of them are still being investigated in this list here, and it's not a big list. You know, scroll very quickly. So it's not a lot of games that's having an issue. Some of them Japanese language games that are included, but when you look at some of the names here, you know, you're like, oh, okay, not bad. See, like Warframe is having a problem. So Trover Saves the World, TT Owl Man, Unnight in Birth, X Late Clear, which makes me sad. That makes me sad. It's one of my games. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. Let's see, Taito Milestones, which is surprising. Super Neptunia RPG. These are some of the games that I got that I'm, you know, mentioning here. So it kind of got a little on the pink side here. South Park: The Fractured Butthole, River City Girl Zero. So, you know, it's a list, but and the arcade archives shocked me too. Primarily the Namco ones seem to be having a hard time. Xevious Pac-Land, New Rally X, and so on. So, and the AC and of course the Neo Geo ones are having a bit of a problem too. So it is kind of a surprising that the list is not large. It's not as large as it looks. And then of course these are games that require the regular Joy-Con, and that's another great thing that I'm very happy about the Switch 2, is that I can play with the Switch 1 controllers. You know, I can play with the Switch 1 controllers. The Toy-Cons, that's great that the Toy-Cons can still be, that the other Toy-Cons, not the virtual ones, but the other ones can still be used. Just keep in mind that, again, the Switch 2 is very big, so it might not fit into the slots for that stuff. Tech specs, what we've all been pining for, you know, a larger screen, which is great. You know, they still kept it the same size, which is amazing in terms of the device itself. You know what I'm saying? This device here. This is still the same slender size, but it's just a little larger, just so we can have a larger screen. But it's still slender, which is awesome. It's real awesome. So it didn't skip a beat. I love that it's got 1080p. Sure, it's LCD. That's fine. Like I said, there'll be an OLED edition. There'll be an OLED edition for $500. But the 1080, but being at 1080p at 60 frames per second, it could go all the way up to 120 frames per second. Actually, on 1080p is great. HDR10 support with VR up to 120 Hz is pretty good. Well, there's some who's saying it's not very good because they keep comparing to more high-end stuff. But the fact that they got the VRR and HDR10 support is important, you know, because again, Nintendo just closes the gap. You know what I'm saying? They're closing they close the gap a bit, which is really good. It's pretty good. But the key factor is that 60 frames per second is the lowest. That's the lowest. That's Nintendo's lowest. It's not going to 30 frames per second. It stops at 60 frames per second at its minimum. That is a big deal. That's a big deal, and that's actually awesome. It's really awesome that that the Switch 2 can do that, and it could go all the way up to 120 frames per second on 1080. And Metroid Prime 4 is going to showcase that. That's going to showcase that, where you get to switch between 4K 60 frames to 1080 120 frames. Pretty smart. That was a pretty smart move on their part to do that. Make the dip switch. Not even the PS5 the PS5 Pro is trying to is struggling to do that. I think they're struggling to do that. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I looked up the Pro, since I covered the PS5 Pro. Custom processor made by NVIDIA. Whatever it is that they put in that CPU, GPU is making everything possible and making the current gen games playable on that console. And that's such a big deal. We don't know when PlayStation 6 and the next Xbox is going to happen. They have not announced it yet. Okay, they have not announced it, and we don't know what they're going to put into it. And how they're going to pull it off. So Nintendo right now is not a generation behind. They're probably they're kind of like a PlayStation 4.5. Let's say yeah, I would say that it's more of a 4.5, PlayStation 4.5, if we want a comparison, because it doesn't have the dip switch issue, you know, in terms of doing the 1080p and the 4K that the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 are having a hard time doing. But whatever this custom processor is, that's what's making Borderlands 4, making Street Fighter 6 possible, and what else? What's it called? Dusk Bloods, the exclusive Bloodborne 2 game, Dusk Bloods. All of that is possible because of this custom processor by NVIDIA. The standard fare Bluetooth is on there. That's just good. TV mode, good. You can use wired LAN port. Thank you. We don't want to rely on wireless. Output. Yeah, here's the video output. HDMI connector. Yes. 4K resolution at 60 frames per second is a godsend. Sure, it's not 120 frames per second for you 4K files, but you're getting at 60 frames minimum, and that's a big deal. Nintendo didn't cheap out and made the minimum 30 frames per second. And 120 frames per second on 1080p and 440p, that is such a big deal. That is a very, very big deal. With HDR support, this is HDR 10. Yeah. You know, wasn't that what everybody was pining for? Yeah, we want the 4K, we want the 4K, we want the 1080. Well, here it is. We got it. We got it, and we're going to be legit gaming, man. We're going to be legit gaming off the Switch 2. It's going to be very exciting to watch how smooth and clean some of the games are. Let's see here. 2 USB-C ports. I already mentioned how great that is because they're on both ends, the top and the bottom. The Switch compatibility is fantastic. You know, it's going to be great. And I'm not in that much of a rush either, personally. Because, you know, this is like the first year, so even though they're gonna have plenty of games, I don't feel like I have to rush, because it's gonna be there. The Switch 2 is not in danger of being an epic collapse or anything. You know, it's not in danger of being an epic collapse. A lot of people are gonna get those early adopters are gonna jump in real quick, and some of the stores are gonna scalp. They're gonna price gouge the console. Micro SD up to 2 terabytes is fine. I wish though that the other micro SD memory cards would be compatible, but you gotta get the Express brand. So Nintendo knew what they were doing on that one. All the standard fare stuff that we come to expect, the gyroscope and so on. Lithium ion. They put the fan inside the dock. Thank you. You didn't do that the first time around. You didn't even do that on the OLED edition. So putting the fan in there to cool down the damn consoles is great. And hopefully the Joy-Con drift will be gone. You know, all the standard fare stuff is still there, including the near field, the amiibo scanner, straps to the straps, and Joy-Con grip too. Yeah, but it's pretty awesome. Another thing that I like is the game share. They've been doing this since the Game Boy Advance. It was the Game Boy Advance when you do the 4-player mode. Mario Kart Advance was the first one that did that, where you would put the cartridge, one cartridge, and then you use the 4-player connectors, and you would connect to 3 others, and you could play it off of that one cartridge, even though it was very limited and you only played, I believe Shy Guy was the racer that you could only select, and you would be and everyone else would be Shy Guys, and you got to be whoever. I think you got to be Shy Guy too. But the point is that they've been doing this since Game Boy Advance, and to see them bring this back is great. You know, just put one cartridge in and share it off. I'm very curious though if it's still gonna be the same way like the Game Boy Advance and the DS and the 3DS, where you only can play the Shy Guy character and nothing else, unless everybody has the same cartridge. You know, everyone has the cartridge installed and thus access to that. Let's see, Mario Party Jamboree is one that does that. I'm very curious if they're gonna do that with the Clubhouse games. But this is pretty cool. They're talking about game chat on this one here, but this is pretty cool. You know, this is really great because nobody gets left out of the fun. They could just jump in with the game share, and I'm glad that they brought this back. I find it very interesting that we see the Switch 2 and the Switch 1 side by side. Does this work between both systems, the NS2 and the NS1? Because if it does, wow. Let me see here. NS2, share games locally. Receive shared games locally. Yeah, it looks like it does. It looks like it can do that. Yeah, Nintendo Switch systems can receive compatible games shared locally too. This is great. This is great. Now this is something that I'm loving even more. You know, the Switch, the NS1s are not being left behind. We can still get in on it. I'm sure that the update will be coming soon. Let's see. Only NS2 systems can share games, but any NS2 or NS1 can receive them. Nintendo Switch systems can only receive games that are compatible with Nintendo Switch. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. That's why I'm like, wait, that's kind of weird. I wasn't even paying attention. But then again, I'm not even reading the whole thing. I'm just focusing on NS2. But again, this is great. You know, and I'm very stoked about that, because it's like, okay, somebody's playing NS2, I'm missing out. Can we? I have an NS1. Can I join in? Sure. All right, I'm in. And the games. I can't really tell you how much, you know, how great the games are gonna be. I did watch the Treehouse on Mario Kart World, only on Mario Kart World, to get an idea of what the heck this works. I do have my criticisms regarding the Grand Prix mode, but for what it is supposed to do, I am so ecstatic about this Mario Kart Forza. For Mario Kart Forza, I'm just dying to play this. Thank you for the follow, the Goblin Zone. Welcome to the channel. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah. I can't wait for the Direct. I can't wait to see the Direct, to really see what they put in there. It's gonna be real trippy. This was such a great surprise too. We haven't had a 3D Donkey Kong platformer since Donkey Kong 64, and to get this, get a new one. Oh my gosh, I find it funny that he's doing the pants thing. Doing good. Welcome to the show here. How are you doing? But good old seeing Donkey Kong back in action is great. I noticed that he doesn't have Diddy or any of the other Kongs, so I'm kind of wondering if it's just a solo adventure or not. But if it is, okay, that's fine. But if it's gonna be a surprise and get to play Diddy and Dixie, and mind you, we didn't get Dixie in Donkey Kong 64. We didn't get Dixie Kong. So if we get Dixie Kong and Diddy Kong, oh my gosh, that'll be fun. How you doing today? Doing good? The Goblin Zone. There we go. Now, normally, the last two times Nintendo went multi-plat when they did a console release, that was Zelda, Twilight Princess, and Zelda Breath of the Wild. And in both instances, I never purchased the games on the new console. So I never picked up Twilight Princess on the Wii. I bought that on the GameCube because that was for the GameCube. And I didn't buy Breath of the Wild on the Switch. I bought that on the Wii U because I wanted to play it on the Wii U, even though they took away the gamepad controls from it, which was very angering. Of course, I did double dip and bought Breath of the Wild on the Switch years later, much later down the road. But Metroid Prime 4 will probably, which will be, you know, multi-plat, quote unquote, multi-plat, and I probably am going to if I were to pick up, I'll probably not pick it up on NS1 and instead save it for when I get the NS2 and play the NS2 edition to get the whole kit and caboodle. You know, say, and experience the 1080 60 frames, 120 frames per second, 1080 100 frames. I don't have a 4K TV, unfortunately, so I won't get to experience Metroid Prime 4 in 4K. But I made that. This was one of my biggest predictions for the past 5 years, when I started noticing how they just kept pushing it, and I said to one of my viewers, one of my fans, and I said to Venom Fang, they're gonna multiplat that like they did with Zelda, like they did with the Zelda games before that. And sure enough, it is multiplat, and it shows too, because the NS2 edition has all the bells and whistles of the NS2. But if you buy it on the NS1, then you kind of got like a downgraded version of it. Of a version of it. But what's also great is that you can still play it on the NS2 the day that you upgrade it, but you have to get the expansion pack to get all that stuff. To get all that stuff. So I decided I'm not gonna buy that on the NS1. I'll wait until I get the NS2 and buy the NS2 edition. Kirby Air Riders. I still haven't played Air Ride. I got it on the GameCube. I bought that off the collector's market. But it's a very fun, enjoyable game from what I've seen, and I'm good. And I'm glad that they came back to that. They brought back the Air Riders. It's a little weird though. I'll be honest with you. It's a little weird because of Mario Kart World. Now this you got a Kirby racer and a Mario Kart racer, and I feel like Air Riders might get cannibalized. Hopefully that won't be the case. That won't be the case. It'll be it'll do fine for the Kirby fans and us. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, covering the imprisoning war. That's pretty interesting. But then again, Hyrule Warriors has always been, interesting. Dragon Drive. Yeah, I mean, they need to put a little more meat into the game, but it's definitely Rocket League and wheelchairs. Yeah. I don't know how hyped to feel about it. It's gonna have to be more of a wait and see. Switch 2 Welcome Tour, I definitely share the same criticisms as everyone else. The consensus, this should have been a packed-in game. I saw IGN article, Reggie Fils-Aimé, saying that he would have made this a pack-in game, and how he had to fight to make Wii Sports a pack-in game because Nintendo wanted to sell it. That's why in Japan the Wii Sports 1 was not packed in and actually sold separately, but the rest of the world got the Wii Sports packed in and made the big difference. But I agree with the general consensus. People, there was only one comment. It was like, oh, it's just $10, missing the whole point that this whatever it is in here is not really worth the $10, quite honestly. This was a big surprise to Duskbloods, and this is why I'm so hyped about it, because this shows that the Switch 2, the NS2, definitely caught up a bit with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And like I said, I would say Switch 2 is a PlayStation 4.5 at worst. You know what I'm saying? If not a PlayStation 5 at best. It's definitely a PlayStation 4.5. And the fact that that they got the exclusive Bloodborne sequel, the Duskbloods. I don't know if this is really the Duskbloods, if this is an actual sequel, but the fact that they got this and it's exclusive is a big deal. This is the type of game a lot of people wanted to play alongside their Mario collections and their Zelda collections. Switching out. And look at this. They got Hades 2. They got Split Fiction, which came out last month. This came out in March. Street Fighter 6 is still fresh. It's still new. People are still playing this, and they're almost done with Season 2 Pass. So it's great that they're going to include all of that. They got Hogwarts Legacy, which again is still a more recent game. Same with Yakuza 0. It's still recent, still a more recent title. Hitman, who is coming in on this. Deltarune, we're finally getting the Deltarune complete series. Civilization 7, which is already on NS1. That's why there's going to be an expansion pack. If I remember correctly, they said there were going to be an expansion pack. Like, you can get the upgrade if you buy the NS1 version. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. This is a current gen game. It's a current gen game. Cyberpunk 2077 as well. Borderlands is current gen game. They're all coming to the NS2. They're all coming to the NS2. You know, and that is so great. It's great because I could switch out. Because now I could be like, yeah, let me stop playing my Donkey Kong here, so I could play Cyberpunk 2077. Play my M-rated Cyberpunk 2077. And then when I'm done with that, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna switch out my Cyberpunk 2077 for my Clubhouse games. Say it all in one big sentence. Say it all in one big sentence with me. We're switching out Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate for Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I could play Metroid Prime 4, you know. It's fantastic, you know. I've waited so long to be able to say such things like this, you know, to be able to say that with a Nintendo console. I got to be able to sit there and say I have the NS2. I got Final Fantasy VII Remake. I got Donkey Kong. I got Dusk Bloods. I got Zelda. I got Street Fighter 6. I got what else? I got Mario Kart. I got Borderlands 4. I mean, just listen to how that sounds when you say it for a Nintendo console. You know, I don't have to sit there and say, yeah, I got the Street Fighter 6 on Steam. Well, I do have Street Fighter 6 on Steam. I no longer have to sit there and say, yeah, I got Steam and Nintendo Switch 2. You know, I got Cyberpunk on Steam. I got Zelda on Switch 2. Now I can say I have a Switch 2 and I got Cyberpunk and Zelda. Listen to how that sounds. I have a Switch 2 and I got Cyberpunk, I got Final Fantasy VII Remake, I got Zelda, I got the new Donkey Kong game, I got Mario Kart, I got Borderlands 4. Look at how that sounds. It sounds so fantastic, man. It sounds so great, you know? And they got a whole bunch of big support. Yakuza 0. I could be like, yeah, I got Yakuza 0. Don't even have to say Yakuza 0. I'll be like, yeah, I got Yakuza and Super Mario. I got Super Mario. I got Yakuza. I got Cyberpunk, Zelda, all on one console. It exudes what we've all been wanting. You know, many of us been wanting to be able to say things like that for so long. You know, and yeah, that's what I'm. Those are the things that I'm excited for. You know, that's what I'm excited for. And the 450 price for the console is not bad. It's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, to me, this is a PS 4.5. You know, PlayStation 4.5. You know, it bridged the gap nicely. You know. It's gonna be years, but I don't know how many more years it is, but I doubt we're gonna see a PS6 or Xbox anytime soon. So the NS2 is going to definitely line up with PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 and the current Xbox series very well for at least a couple more years before the official announcements are made for the next consoles on Sony and Microsoft's side. So, you know, yeah. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be fun. But like I said, I'm in no rush right now, because right now, even though the launch games is tight, it's beautiful. You know, saying Mario Kart World and a handful of solid AAA titles that's gonna be released alongside it. I don't feel like I need to rush at this time because I got a very large library. And I know that once I'm done with those launch titles, the next game is going to be probably months away. Given well, we don't know how much of an output it is. Nintendo needs to do another Nintendo Direct to lay out, you know, exactly what's coming out, because for now, you know, other than the announcement of what's going to be out on launch day, a lot of the titles are just labeled as 2025 and 2026. So we don't know how long it's going to take. And the reason why I don't want to rush into it is because if I get tired of Mario Kart World, You know, saying like if I see everything and I don't get my hands on some of the AAA games like Yakuza 0 at the time being, or Cyberpunk, and you know, play through those, I'm pretty much gonna have a how you say, a high level upgraded NS1 system, because the only thing I would do with the NS1 then is play the Switch 1 games, and I'm paying $450 for that, you know, to play NS1 games exclusively, and I'm not feeling that right now, you know what I'm saying, because there's not a substantial, large enough library of NS2 games for, you know, for me to go through, so to speak, you know what I'm saying, like to keep pace and play, you know, and play more of it. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna stop, you know, at some point. I'm gonna run out of games to play. Is what I'm saying. I fear I may run out of NS2 games to play. You know, I'm gonna get tired, and I'm gonna want to, switch out. And the only games I'm gonna get to play will be the NS1 games, and I got a very substantial library of NS1 games, and I don't want to, you know, then it's kind of like, you know, I didn't spend money on the NS2. You get what I'm saying? That the NS2 console for the NS2 games. I bought something that I could already do on the NS1. You see what I'm saying? Like, if all these NS1 games I got, I can do on NS1. And for me to buy the NS2 now just to play the NS1 games is kind of like, why? You have an NS1, play on the NS1. You know, play on the NS1. So I don't. So for me personally, I don't feel like the library is going to be a slow build. It's going to be a slow build, and there's going to be a period of time where I'm not going to be playing NS2 games, and I'm going to find myself stuck playing NS1 games, and I'm going to feel like, you know, I wasted money buying a console that I already have. You understand what I'm saying? To play games on a console I already have. I have the NS1. You know, so I'm going to wait it out on the basis of that. Probably when Metroid Prime 4 Beyond gets announced. That's probably when I might make the jump, and by then there'll be a substantial enough library, you know, for me to justify buying the Switch 2. Because I don't feel like a library of 5 NS2 games is strong enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Because once I play through them, now I'm playing NS1 games, and my brain will be like, you know, I have an NS1 console itself. You know, I spent $450 to play NS1 games on a console I already have, when I already have its counterpart. So that's why I'm not jumping into it just yet. There's no rush. You know what I'm saying? Let me enjoy my NS1 a lot more. You know, more further. Especially with the hype, especially with some of the updates they're gonna put in the NS1 that'll make it compatible, like the game share, as well, like the game share that's gonna be updated this month, April, in April. So you know, it's so I don't feel left behind or anything with the NS1. You know, saying like I'm gonna be left behind not having the NS2. And once I feel like the library is substantial enough, then I'll scoop up the NS2. But until then, you know, the hype train is very strong. The hype train is very, very strong, and I'll be very, very ecstatic to pick up the system. If I'm lucky enough to get it day one, which it's not gonna happen because day one launches. Oh boy, no. There ain't gonna be no consoles available for the time being. So no need to rush. But once I get that NS2, yeah. I'm gonna have a blast, and hopefully my racing wheel and my arcade stick will be compatible with the NS2, as well since it's compatible with the NS1, and be able to race with those on the live stream. So yeah, yep. That's those are my hyped up, excited thoughts on Switch 2. I can't wait. I can't wait for it. You know, all the flaws, the good, the bad and the good. I can't wait for the bad and the good. There we go. Taking the bad with the good. You know, the Switch 2 is gonna do all right. It's gonna do all right. You know, it's gonna be fine, and we're gonna enjoy 1080p 120 frames per second gaming portably and 4K 60 frames per second docked. That's going to be awesome. What we've all been telling Nintendo to do, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get that and more. So that's it, everybody. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for joining me on the hype train, my own little hype train.